Hello, welcome, good morning. Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia and also School of SweetGeorgia. And I'm excited to have you guys all here today. This is our live stream that we do once a month, every month on the second Friday of every month. And excited to see you guys all in the chat here today. Hello. It's nice to see so many familiar faces or familiar names. Thank you guys so much for being here today. So today we have lots and lots of things planned, lots of things to talk about. It is the beginning of September. It is back to school. Kids are back in school. Everything is going on right now. It's pretty full. Life is pretty full right now. And here in Vancouver, it's been very dry. It's been very warm. And now it's just starting to get a little bit more crisp and cool, kind of like fall and autumn is actually coming. And so I'm actually wearing my cowl that I haven't worn in a long, long time because it's just starting to get a little bit chilly here now. We have lots and lots of things to share today. A lot of stuff that I want to share with you, kind of like behind the scenes, things that are going on in and around the studio. We also have our September secret stash that we are going to release today. Very, very excited about that because it is so, so nice. And we're going to talk a little bit about the community. We're going to talk about some of the things that I have on my table that I've been making, that I've been working on. We also have some stuff that we're going to talk about with in terms of tariff stuff and shipping stuff and kind of just a little bit of logistics around yarn and getting yarn to people all over the world right now. I know that that's kind of a big question for people as well. Happy to answer questions about that as well. Whatever I can answer, I will try to answer. Yeah, so we have quite a lot of things that we want to share about today. But before I go on into all of those things, the very first thing that I should probably mention is that today is September 12th. And September 9th was actually our anniversary for Sweet Georgia. It's our 20th anniversary this year. And so, one of the first things that I just sort of want to start off with is I want to share just a little bit about this 20 years. I know that my team knows this as well. Like, I'm not very good at pausing and stopping to celebrate wins very often. I just kind of like, yay, check, and then let's keep going. And I don't often stop and really appreciate the things that have happened and looking at all of the stuff that's been done and to be able to celebrate that. And so I just kind of want to take a minute here to really thank both our Sweet Georgia team and also this entire community because the whole reason why Sweet Georgia started as a yarn company and as this yarn business was literally because people in our community who had been following what I'd been doing, who had been following the work and things that I was dyeing and making and all these kinds of things, people were so encouraging and supportive. And they were like, they wanted to see more, I guess, of what I was doing in the world. And so that is what sort of gave me the motivation and the push and the encouragement to go and actually start this as a business at all. So putting a couple skeins on Etsy, getting started there, and then starting to build my own website and just starting to dye more yarn. And just it snowballed very, very quickly overnight. Just over the course of a number of months, it just really, really became a thing. And like I've talked about before, there was just like a massive situation that I think lots and lots of people go through in this sort of industry, just that the work is very, very labor intensive. The work is immense. And I reached a point where just me as myself, I reached burnout and could not do any more. They just like physically could not dye more yarn, physically could not take more photos and post more things. And it just like really burnt out. And so it was only at that point in time where I had to pause and sort of stop and recollect everything and start to really consider building a team. And so this is where many of my very first team members came to join Sweet Georgia. Teresa is one of the first people, and then her brother David is also one of the first people that came to join Sweet Georgia. And then Hubert, and then Charlotte, and now we have like this team of wonderful and amazing people. You see many of them here in the chat today as well. Like Vicky is here, Bridget is here, Greta is here, Robin is here. Many of our incredible, amazing team members are here. And without this team, this company would not have come 20 years. Like it would have just died with me in the first 2 or 3 years, just not having enough hands to do all the things. And so there is a photo here on the slide of Hubert's hands actually dyeing some of the yarn. This is, just a snippet of the yarn that is in the front shop right now. And it is just incredible. And I have such gratitude for this team for allowing us to continue and persist for all of these years. And again, also to this community, all of you guys who are here on the chat supporting us and doing just making things with our yarn, sharing things with our yarn, continuing to choose our colors and our yarns for your project. Like all of this means so much. And we wouldn't exist if it weren't for all of you. It's not me, it's all of you who are keeping Sweet Georgia as this thing that we are just continuing to build and grow. And so I'm really excited that we get to celebrate this milestone, which is 20 years. But I am very much looking forward to the future and seeing what else we can do over the coming years. But for this one moment, I'm going to pause and just say thank you and really appreciate all of this. So it kind of leads me into the next section, which is really that I tried to document a little bit about this in a little podcast episode that we released last week, last Wednesday. Our podcast episodes come out on Spotify. We put them also up on YouTube, but they come out every other Wednesday. And so the last one was our anniversary episode. So I talked a little bit about Sweet Georgia and sharing a little bit about that as well. So I encourage you guys to go check that out if you have not heard our podcast yet. We started again this past year interviewing lots of folks in the fiber arts community. And one of the most recent ones that we had was with Britt Garber from Not Bad Brit about crochet and Tunisian crochet. Really love that conversation with Britt. And then I have a couple of other conversations that are coming up very shortly. I'm going to be editing one. It's going to come out next Wednesday. And that is going to be with Andrew Bryson, who is an inkle weaving instructor. He does band weaving, he does all sorts of kinds of weaving, but he is like, yeah, I was telling our team, like, Andrew's like, it's like one of us. He's like exactly like our kind of people. Somebody who like loves yarn, loves fiber, loves, these fiber arts, these tactile arts, loves weaving, just really loves learning and exploring and is curious about how to make things and all these kinds of things. And so I really enjoyed my conversation with Andrew. And so that is coming out next Wednesday. And also looking forward to working more with Andrew in the future on more ankle weaving projects and content as well. And then I have another episode coming up. It will be the October 1st episode, I believe. It's like the Wednesday that comes after this one. But it will be the start of Socktober in October, and I will be chatting with Grayson Erlbacher from Erlbacher Knitting Machines. And so Erlbacher Knitting Machines is the company that makes my CSM. It makes my circular sock knitting machine. Um, and really excited about having that conversation as well, because their history is so interesting and what they're doing is so cool. And I absolutely love my CSM. We're going to talk more about CSM today as well. But yeah, really excited to share that episode with you guys as well. So lots of things to listen to on the podcast. That would be episode 14, 15, and 16. And so we have a few more that we're going to do for the rest of this year. And excited to hear what you guys think about the podcast. It's been fun having these conversations with folks in the fiber arts community. So that's just a little bit about our anniversary, 20 years. It's very exciting. I do remember when we did our 10-year anniversary, we had like a little bit of a cocktail party at the studio. And yeah, I remember that time. I think I was actually I was pregnant with Nina at that time, 10-year anniversary. Yeah, Nina's like 9 right now. She's almost 10. So I guess it's coming up to that time now. But 20 years, excited for that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for all of that. And yeah, it is nice seeing everybody on the team here today in the chat. Now, to go back a little bit to the beginning, because this is generally where I start when we have these live stream conversations. And the first thing is just to share a little bit about what I am currently working on. And so there's a big list of things that I'm actually working on. And so maybe I'll just go through a little bit of this list and show you what is on here. So the very first thing is this Girdwood sweater, which I love, by the way. This is the sweater, and it is nearly done. I think if you are in our Sweet Georgia community, you may have seen that I posted. I was so excited. I even shot a video of like removing the last stitches from the knitting machine. Basically, what this is this is a colorwork, stranded colorwork sweater. The design is by Caitlin Hunter from Boyland Knitworks. It's a beautiful pattern. I love this sweater. It's gorgeous. It was designed to have like a whole bunch of brioche at the bottom and stuff like that, but I chose not to do that, and I chose to just stick with stockinette. And so the plan was I spun all of this gradient yarn for the yoke, and then I hand knit this entire colorwork yoke, and then I hung the rest of the stitches on the machine, and I knit downwards to knit the body, the front, and the back, and then to knit each of the sleeves. And now the sleeves are both done, but I don't know if you can see on the video here. This sleeve is good. I even learned to do manual color work on the knitting machine. So this color work up here, I knit all of this by hand. And then I learned how to do color work on the knitting machine by hand by individually hand selecting which needles were going to be used for which color. It's a very cool technique. And then I'm going to show you more about this in like coming weeks and months and things like that. But this I did. And then I did the second sleeve. I don't know if you can tell the color change that happened like right in the middle of the sleeve. And it's so sad. It's because I am holding together one strand of BFL silk DK yarn and then holding it together with one strand of silk mist. And I was in such a rush to get going, and I was like, oh, I'm almost finished. I'm going to just burn through this last bit of the sleeve. I was so excited about getting going that I just pulled out the silk mist that was just lying in one of these bins here. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's a light color. It's the one. And I didn't really pause to check it that much. And so I picked up the wrong color. So mainly the whole body of this sweater is being knit with birch in the BFL and silk DK. And then it's being held together with one strand of silk mist in this color called Fresh Air, which is a light, airy green kind of color. It's a kind of a sagey green. And so I kept in my mind that it was a sagey kind of green. And so when I picked up the silk mist for the finishing the sleeve, this color is actually called sage. And so I thought, oh, yeah, that's the right one, but it's the wrong one. And so what I actually need to do is I need to unravel all of this, and I need to unravel all of the color work that I've knit on the machine, unravel a little bit of the stockinette, and then pick up the stitches here and then continue on and do this again. But it's taken me a couple of weeks to get up the courage to actually remove this. It's making me a little bit sad, but it should be pretty easy to do. We just have to undo this little knot, and then hopefully it will unravel okay, just because it does have some silk mist in it. And sometimes that makes for a stickier sort of surface and might be a little bit more difficult to unravel. But I think I can just sit at this with the TV and then kind of start to unravel it as we go. Okay, I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to get distracted with this whole idea. But, anyways, this is the sweater that I have been working on. Now, I'm not in a rush to finish this. I shouldn't be so much in a rush to finish this because it's not really that cold. It never really gets that cold in Vancouver. I was going to wear this, when we go up the mountain and when it gets really cold, but that might not be until about November. So I don't need it right away. I don't think it's going to be cold enough to actually wear this at Knit City. If I wore this at Knit City, I would be very warm, very, very. warm and sweaty, which would be not that great. So that is that sweater that is sort of on its way. But yes, I do love this combination of doing things with both hand knitting and machine knitting, combining the two. It's been great. And I have another one to show you guys a little bit later as well. So that is coming. Um, I have some hand spun skeins that I'm going to share with you guys in a minute. And yeah, I am working on a croak brag sampler right now on my loom in the dining room downstairs. So you can see that is the start of the croak brag rug. I'm doing a little bit of a sample there, and then I'm going to transfer all of this information to a second loom. I've wound a warp, and I'm going to set up a loom at the studio to do croak brag, and then I'm going to bring that loom with me to Knit City so I can sort of demo how does croak brag work because it's so cool. And so we're gonna do that as well. I also have some other things on my plate, including some socks that I'm cranking right now, and so I'll show you the socks in a bit as well. But yeah, those are some of the things that have been on my plate currently. It's quite a lot of projects actually. They just like inching forward. Each one is inching forward a little bit more, a little bit more. So let's very quickly talk about Knit City, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. This is going to be in Vancouver. This is an event hosted by Knit Social. And so Knit Social is Amanda and Fiona have been running events for many, many years now. It's been many, many years. I can't even remember how many years, but they originally started with one yarn festival in Vancouver. And then they have branched out, and now there are yarn festivals that they are hosting in Montreal, in Toronto, in Calgary. They also do retreats throughout the year on Vancouver Island. They are also now doing international travel and taking folks to Ireland and Scotland and all sorts of places. I also did a podcast episode with Amanda and Fiona a couple weeks ago talking about Knit City and also about all of the things that they have done in the past 10 years because they are one of the few people that I've actually interviewed twice for the podcast. So the first episode that we did with them was 10 years ago. So we wanted to kind of reflect back and see, well, what has Knit Social done in the past 10 years and how have they evolved? Because they've done quite a lot. So the Vancouver show and the Calgary show actually alternate now. So they'll have one in Vancouver, and then next year there'll be one in Calgary. And I believe their goal is to flip back and forth between these two locations, similar to how they flip back and forth between a Toronto and a Montreal location. So that's how that's kind of going. So this year is going to be in Vancouver, September 26th to 28th. It's at the Peony Forum this year. I believe it's going to be the last year that it's going to be at this particular venue, and then they're looking for a different venue for the next show. But this is a few snapshots from our show last time. We had a big, massive booth with a lot of our yarn, not all of our yarn, but some of our yarn. And we do a big booth that's about 40 feet by 10 feet. So it's a big, big booth. There's going to be a lot of yarn, a lot of sock yarn, a lot of sweater yarn. We dye especially for this show, so that way we can have very full dye lots and things like that in case you wanted to come and get like 4 or 5 or 6 skeins for a sweater or something like that. That is something that we do for this show specifically. We also host a lounge. And so I don't know how many years we've done this, but we have every time that we've had Knit City, we have hosted the Knitters Lounge. It used to be called the Knitters Lounge, but now I think we just call it the Lounge. And it's a lounge that's located across from our booth. It's also going to be quite a big space. So it's 40 by 20. So it's a big, big space. And in this space, we host demos. So, what we are trying to do with this lounge space is really to introduce people to a lot of fiber arts that they may not have ever seen or had the opportunity to experience. A lot of people might see weaving on a loom for the first time. They might see an e-spinner for the very first time. Maybe they've never seen a blending board. Maybe they've never seen knitting machines, whatever it is. We are bringing a lot of things to share and to show, to just to introduce people to sort of the entire spectrum of the fiber arts. This is basically what we are aiming to do at the School of SweetGeorgia, is to show, what does it feel like and what does it look like and how do you go from fleece or fiber that's basically come off of the sheep. How do you dye it? How do you prep it? How do you spin it into yarn? How can you knit with it? How can you weave with it? What can you crochet with it? Like all of the things that you can do from fiber all the way to fabric. And so that's kind of what we're aiming to do. And so you'll see that we are going to have some demos. I have a schedule that I'm going to share with you in a minute, but we also have some very, very special swag bags that are kind of like a gift with purchase kind of thing that Teresa has assembled. Teresa and the team have created this amazing gift that is sort of in honor of our 20th anniversary. There's some very, very special items in there that we're excited to share with you. So that is definitely happening as well in our booth. And then, as part of the lounge, in addition to the demos that we're doing, we are doing one very special table. It's going to be a corner table where you can make your own custom mini skein sets. So, one of the things that we introduced at our 10-year anniversary is these things that are called Party of Fives. And so, our Party of Five, if you didn't know, is our 5 skein mini skein set. And we've been making these Party Fives for 10 years now, since our 10-year anniversary. We do custom Party Fives for various events and shops and things like that. But we also have this very big palette of Party of Five sets. So there's like lots of these kits. They're basically quarter skein, mini skeins, so that you can make a project with 5 different colors, mix and match, whatever you like to do. Now, we are setting up a table so that you can make your own palettes, mix and match and make your own custom palettes with micro skeins, which is another thing that we're doing right now, like mini skeins. They're like really tiny skeins. So that's something else that is available as well at the lounge. So you can come and make your own Party of Five mini skein set or micro skein set. So excited about that. So please do come to visit us at Knit City. Bring something that you've made from Sweet Georgia. Wear something that you've made in Sweet Georgia. I'm very, very excited to meet and see you guys there. These are the demos that we are going to do. So in the lounge, we are doing some spinning demos on e-spinners. We have both the Ashford e-spinner 3 that we're going to bring, and we also have some dataless starlings that are available at the show. So we connected with Daedalus, and we have 5 Daedalus starlings e-spinners to bring to the show. And then I'm going to bring mine, which is like at the demo one, so you can see how it works, and I'll show you and talk about it and all that kind of stuff. And then at 1 p.m., I also have a circular sock machine demo. I'm going to bring my Erlbacher Speedster. And then we have a fiber prep demo, and I believe Greta is going to come and help talk about blending boards. I have the lock pop. We're going to demo a bunch of different blending board stuff, Rolags, working with blending boards, that kind of thing. And then we also have an LK150 that we are going to bring to the show and do a little bit of a machine knitting demonstration. So it's a flatbed knitting machine. So we can answer any questions about that you might have. And I believe Robin is here on the chat. Robin has been machine knitting for some time, and she's on our team. She's one of our moderators in the SOS. And so she's going to come and hang out in the lounge for that time and help talk about machine knitting as well, because she's made tons of projects as well. On Sunday, we have some inkle weaving demos, and which I believe Robin is doing as well. And then at 11 o'clock, we're doing an SOS meetup. So that is anybody who is in the School of SweetGeorgia. We would love to come and meet you. And we would love to come have you meet some of the instructors. So we'll try to have people available during that time, 11 o'clock on Sunday. And yeah, it would be just great to meet anybody who is part of that school community. And then in the afternoon, I will show that crook rag on the baby wolf loom. And again, more machine knitting demos, because I feel like you guys might have a lot of questions about that. So very, very excited to do all of those things at Knit City. And yeah, if you do come, please do come and say hello. Our whole team basically will be there for the most part. Yes. Fantastic. Now, what else is going on right now in the school and at Sweet Georgia here? Let me share it with you. In September, we are working on something that is called the Crepe Yarn Spin Along Challenge. We are working on 3-ply crepe yarn. This all sort of stemmed from a post from one of our members in the community who was working on some 3-ply crepe yarn, spinning some crepe yarn. And then she was wondering, oh, is this enough twist? Am I doing it right? All these kinds of things. And everybody started to help each other out with some resources, with some examples. And I look back at the course that Rachel Smith taught for us about spinning to knit socks. And she taught this particular yarn structure in that course. And so this whole idea is basically that 3-ply crepe yarn is not like a 3-ply traditional yarn where you spin 3 strands of singles and then you in one direction and then you ply them all together in the opposite direction. That's like a traditional 3-ply. A crepe yarn, this 3-ply crepe yarn, is a little bit different. It is 3 plies, but 2 of the plies you spin in the S direction first, and then you take those 2 plies and then you ply them together in the Z direction, and then you spin a third single in the Z direction, and then you take your 2-ply and your single, and then you ply the 3 of them together in the S direction. I know, it sounds crazy, but it makes a very, very different kind of yarn. It is 3-ply. It is a little bit, well, it's very elastic and bouncy, which is what I found. And I have some examples of it that I'm going to show you in a minute. But yeah, this is one of the things that we're trying to explore because it's kind of like pushing the boundaries of what you maybe know with your spinning and just doing that as a little bit of a challenge. And if you like the kind of yarn that you're spinning, maybe you would like to knit with this yarn and make socks out of it in October when we do Socktober. So this yarn photo here is a crepe hand spun that was spun by Debbie Held. She's one of the instructors in our School of SweetGeorgia, and she is spinning this with a color called Winter Skies, which is part of the color collaboration that we did with our SOS spinning instructors a few months ago. So yeah, this is one of the things that we've been working on. If you want to spin along with us, we are going to show some more photos and things in the coming weeks as everybody sort of like gets more into this. But this is one of the things that's been happening with Sweet Georgia. It's sort of behind the scenes what we're making. The other thing that we have been making and making along is we've been doing a stranded sweater knit along. And so this is something that we started at the beginning of August with the goal that maybe you would have a sweater that you could wear in your fall yarn festivals. Maybe you bring it to Knit City. This sweater happens to be one of the designs that we focused on. We did 2 designs for the stranded sweater knit along. One of them is the Oh Dearie Me sweater by Caitlin Shepard, and the second one is the Falling Leaves sweater by Andrea Rangel. So you can see in these photos here, Greta has finished her Falling Leaves sweater and it looks absolutely amazing. It's gorgeous. She used her own hand spun in the colorwork yoke section. And then I believe she used BFL and Silk DK. Yes, BFL and Silk DK in red truck for the body portion. And so this is one of the sweaters that everybody's been knitting. And yeah, we're seeing some finished sweaters like popping up in the community chat right now in the Sweet Georgia community space. So this whole knit along is continuing until the end of September. So yeah, very, very excited to see everybody's progress on that. I will show you. So Greta's was made with handspun. We talked a little bit about, how much handspun is needed for that yoke section, how much yardage is needed, and then she spun sort of 2 specifications in order to match the BFL and Silk DK weight yarn. But I'll show you what I've been working on too. Trying to keep it relatively simple. This is also the Falling Leaves. This is also the Falling Leaves pullover, but I'm making it in a very different way. So the design of that Falling Leaves sweater is originally that you cast on from the bottom. You cast on with tubular cast on, which is something that Andrea teaches in the course. She teaches you how to do the tubular cast on, then knit from the bottom up, and then you knit your sleeves from the cuff up, again tubular cast on, cuff up, and then you join all those 4 pieces, your 2 sleeves, your front and your back, and then from here then you knit your color work up, and then you finish at the top. So it's a bottom up yoke sweater. um, Caitlin Shepherd's pattern, the Oh Dearie Me pattern, you knit in the opposite direction. You knit top down, you knit your colorwork yoke, and then you knit sleeves, and then you knit the body circular down. This, I am sort of switching up the construction of the falling leaves sweater. What I did was I cast on provisionally. So I have here in this pink yarn, I basically did a crochet chain, and then I used my main color yarn and I picked up the stitches that are necessary for the yoke section. So I picked up from here, and I am knitting again the colorwork yoke from the bottom up, just like you would, but I'm just pretending that this body is done, but the body is not done. So once this yoke is done, which is almost done, I am going to pick up all of these stitches off of the provisional cast on and hang them on the knitting machine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit the front down, the back down, and then the sleeves down. And then I'll just do like a normal bind off at the bottom of the ribbing on the machine. The ribbing will have to be worked manually on the machine because this LK150 does not have a ribber. It's a single bed machine. So yeah, that is basically what I'm trying to do. So I'm working on this falling leaves sweater and just changing up the construction so it's a little bit different from what Greta has done. But yeah, you can see they are very similar, but hers has way more contrast. I am using, what am I using? I'm using these two colors. This one, I believe, is amber ale, and then this one, I believe, is mink. Pretty sure. So that's what I have been working on. So that's the other sweater. It's coming along. Depending on how quickly this all goes, maybe I could have it ready for Knit City. But again, it's not a rush because I have until September 30th. Yeah, I am liking some of these more like low contrast. You would think that these colors would provide quite a bit of contrast, right? They're pretty high contrast colors together. But when you put them together and then you make all your stitches very tiny, I guess it does sort of start to um, look a little bit less contrasty. But I do like the autumny kind of um, autumn leaf kind of color that is happening there. So I do. I love that. I love it. It's fun. So that is one of the things that's happening in and around the community. Now, just to share with you guys a little bit more about this community, this I have been mentioning for the past couple of months. We started this new community space a couple months ago, just at the beginning of the summer. And it's one of the things that we are including as part of everyone's School of SweetGeorgia membership. You get access to this community as part of your SOS membership. If you have joined our Secret Stash club, previously, you can also be part of this community very, very easily. Otherwise, you can find more information about how to join this community at sweetgeorgiayarns.com/community. And I'll just show you a very quick snippet of what it looks like inside. This is what it looks like inside the community. And so basically, the idea is that we're creating our own sort of private club space to share projects, to share all sorts of different ideas. So in here we do have information about, there's a space where everybody can introduce themselves. There's like a chat function. Yeah, it's like a chat room. And then here we have a number of different things. So we have like what's new here, including, we'll have special sales and announcements just for community members. We have events, upcoming events, including this one, which is happening right now. We have all of the information about all of our make alongs and our challenges. So, right now is these crepe yarn challenge. And then after that, we are going to be doing Socktober in October. And we will have the Winterful Weave Along that will come up a little bit later in November. And then in December, we're going to do like a holiday kind of make along as well. We have the Secret Stash Club stuff in here. I can't show you because I have to show you after the next slide. And then in here, we have all of these different crafts that we are supporting. So there's knitting and crochet, dyeing, spinning, weaving, CSM, machine knitting, and all of these different spaces. This is where folks are posting projects and progress that they are making on various projects and ideas. And this feed kind of like shows you all of the things that people have sort of been working on. So you can see here, there is an amazing blanket. Kathy's amazing, gorgeous blanket. And so there's lots of things that are in here that are great, and we're excited to share all that. So if you want to be a part of this, please do check out, I think Greta has posted a link in the chat there. But if you are already a member of the School of SweetGeorgia, there's information inside your dashboard on how to connect into this. And then as well, we are sending out information to all of our Secret Stash members as well about how to join this. And then there's more information about how to join at that link that Greta sent. That is that one. Fantastic. So I think that you've seen a couple of little snippets of what is coming, but very, very excited. I want to share with you guys the Secret Stash colorway for September. Secret Stash is our sort of color of the month club. So it's a colorway of the month. We do a new colorway on yarn every single month. And then once a quarter, we do that color on fiber, so spinning fiber. And so this is one of those special months where we have both yarn and spinning fiber. So September's club, I'm going to show you, is called apple picking. So this month is dyed on the Trifecta Fine, which is our newest yarn. It's a newest yarn base. It's called Trifecta Fine, and it is Blueface Leicester mixed with mohair mixed with silk. So this blend is just so lovely. It's lovely to knit with. It's lovely to spin with. It's just a lovely, lovely blend. It's quite hard wearing if you want it to be. If you knit it really, really firm and tight, it would be very nice and hard wearing. If you knit it loose, it can be very warm. It's like a great sweater yarn. It's not like a hazy, necessarily fuzzy yarn. It's got a tiny bit of haze. It's not like a fluffy silk mist kind of mohair. Not like that, but it's just got like this light halo to it, and it just feels amazing. But this colorway, it's called apple picking because it's kind of like back to September, back to school, and one of the strongest memories that I have is when my son started going to preschool and they had these field trips to, well, it was basically the pumpkin patch. But at the front or the end of the pumpkin patch, they would have these giant carts full of apples that had come from the farm. And they were asking these preschool kids to like pick one apple before you go home. Just everybody pick one apple, a free apple, get a free apple. And it took so long to pick that one free apple because every apple was like a little bit different. Some were a little bit green, some had a little bit of brown, some had a little bit of red, some were a little bit peachy or orangey. Like every apple was so different. And it was like, oh, should I get this one? No, should I get this one? And it was just like too many options, overwhelming for a preschooler to be able to pick just one apple. And I just remember it being like this very nice memory because going to the pumpkin patch with your kids is very, very muddy and messy, but it was also very, very joyful. And I really, really enjoyed it. But it was just, yeah, very, very cute to see these little kids trying to pick one apple out of a giant bin of apples and remembering how much color and how much nuance is in all of those apples. And that's kind of what we were trying to show in this colorway here. So you can see in the yarn, there's some red, obviously, for red apples, but there's also some brown. There's also a bit of peachy kind of colors, a little bit of orangey kind of colors. There's just like a little bit of everything in all of this. And so that is the yarn color. And then I feel like it picks up even more in the fiber colors. So in the spinning fiber, we dyed this on trifecta fiber. So the trifecta fiber, the spinning fiber, is the same exact blend as what we make the trifecta fine out of, but we're leaving it in this fiber format so you can spin your own. And you could see in the fiber, it seems to pick up like a little bit of almost like an apple green kind of color. There's a little tinge of green. There's a tinge of little purples coming out. It's just full of full of nuance, just a lot of variation in all of these colors. So I absolutely love it. This is one of my most favorite fibers to spin. And So yeah, this spinning went so quickly. Basically, I took my braid, I got one of the braids of the trifecta fiber and it is super squishy soft. What I did was I divided it in half immediately. So I had like a 50-gram section and a second 50-gram section. And so with one 50-gram section, I divided it into three to make the 3-ply crepe yarn. And so this is the 3-ply crepe yarn that I made. And I'm going to do some sort of close up photos and I'm going to post them in the community and all sorts of things like that. But because it's going to be impossible for you to see, that is my 3-ply crepe yarn. It's more bubbly and more elastic than I thought. Yeah, it is very elastic. It is very textured looking. And then on the flip side, this is my other half, the other 50 grams. I divided again into three different plies and then spun each of those plies and made a traditional 3-ply yarn. And my traditional 3-ply yarn, I am so proud of. It's actually more slick and more fine and um, more smooth than I've ever spun. So I'm hoping you can see that because I'm very proud of that yarn. It's really, really nice. It's very consistent. It's more consistent than most of my spinning has been for a while. Um, and yes, so I don't know if the bubbliness of my crepe yarn is because I was very inconsistent with my spinning because I think spinning singles in the opposite direction from what I normally would spin does feel a little bit awkward. It felt a little bit different. It was a little bit more difficult to control. And so I wonder if that made for a different thickness, inconsistent thickness in my yarn. But you can see from these two skeins already the crepe yarn is much more poofy and puffy than the traditional 3-ply yarn. So this is one of the things that I'm playing with right now. And then I'm going to basically wind these into balls and crank them in the sock machine to see how this all goes and which one I like actually better. And then this might determine how I want to spin future sock yarns from now on. Now, one caveat to let you know, I do use this trifecta blend, this trifecta fine yarn. I have used it for socks and things like that. The blue faced luster in here is untreated. And so, even though BFL is generally a wool that is a little bit less resistant to felting than some of the other fibers that are like more prone to felting, the BFL will felt. And so, yes, you can definitely spin sock yarn out of this. I would just be very, very gentle with your socks. Um, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily throw them in the washing machine, is what I'm suggesting. Because I have thrown the trifecta fine in the washing machine and it did felt. And I wouldn't want that to happen to you if if you were wanting to make something out of it. So this is the skein of yarn. This is the trifecta fine yarn, also very squishy, also feels really, really lovely. And I'll show you that Charlotte, oh, sorry, Irene. Irene knit this. Charlotte's modeling this, but Irene from our community, she knit the sample of the cash silk fern scarf. So if you know, the cash silk fern, I think is the very first pattern that we ever published ages and ages and ages ago. Um, Probably like in 2009 or something. And this pattern originally was knit with lace weight yarn. I knit it with cash silk lace, and it was in a colorway that we no longer dye anymore. But this pattern is lovely and can be used for all sorts of different things. But this pattern originally was written for lace yarn, but we have rewritten it with the help of Irene writing this doing the actual sample knitting, and then between all of us, we've reworked the pattern so that now it has two sets of instructions. So now it also has fingering weight instructions. So now you could use this pattern and use it for any of the sock yarns that you have in your stash to make this particular pattern nice and easy. But Charlotte is modeling this lovely, lovely scarf, which is here. And I'll show it to you. Ta-da! Are there more notes? So yeah, this is one skein produces one scarf. And I feel like the colors in here, like normally we would discourage using like a highly variegated color for a project like this because it is lace. It's a lace scarf. And sometimes the lace can be obscured if your colorway is a little bit too high contrast or too much change happening within that skein. But I feel like with this particular skein, even though, yes, there's some reds, there's some browns, there's some pinks, there's some oranges, it seems to all be so close together that when you finally knit it into a scarf, it's not too jarring. It's not too high contrast that you obliterate all of the lace detail. So this is lovely. Um, Yes, so that is the scarf. Now, the scarf pattern, it has been updated and is available inside the community. I just saw it. And so I believe Bridget actually added it to the community. So yes, you can go to the community and you can download this one. This one is available for you. And I believe this has been added, yes. So Bridget also added the apple picking colorway to the community in the secret stash section. So this secret stash section of our community is meant to kind of be like a gallery of all of the colors that we have created for secret stash. And after this, if you do happen to make something with one of these colorways, we would love to have you guys post it here in the Sweet Georgia showcase, and then we can all see what you've made with the secret stash colorway. But this is so pretty. Thank you so much, Bridget. Looks fantastic. So that is that. Now, if you would like to sign up for the next month, October, the Secret Stash deadline for signups every month is the 15th. So you have to sign up by September 15th in order to receive the October colorway. But we generally always have extras of the yarn, extras of the fiber, so you can find those in the shop as well. Now, one very last question I see Vicky was asking, do they have different wraps per inch or yards per pound? And that would require me to have measured my yarn. And um, I'm I'm always like in a rush to make things, so I don't pause so often to measure things. So they do require some measurement. I have not done wraps per inch yet, and I have not measured how much yardage there is, but I should. And I will probably do that when I wind them into cones before I crank them because I need to know that wraps per inch sort of number in order to determine if it would be good to put onto my machine with this particular cylinder or how I'm going to adjust the gauge and all that kind of stuff. So this is something, yes, I will measure and find out and report back. So that is the secret stash. Very, very happy about all of that. Yeah, I hope that you guys have been enjoying the Secret Stash. It's been a really, really super fun project for us, for sure. We've been doing it for about 2 years now, and we had taken a big break. But prior to that, we ran like a club, a colorway club for about 9 years before we took a bit of a break. And now we've come back to it, and it has been so, so much fun to see all of the things that have been made. So, very, very excited about that. Now, we have a couple of sort of housekeeping issues that we want to talk about. So, one of the first things, well, is this whole um, shipping situation, right? So, you probably have seen many, many things about this in the news about how the de minimis exemption that used to exist between US and Canada has been removed. And so, there's no exemption now for items that are under $800. So it used to be that anything that was shipped into the US from Canada that was under the $800 sort of limit would go through without having any extra duties or any extra tariffs or taxes added to that package. Now, that exemption has been removed. So now they're kind of, the US border is looking at all the packages that are coming through and then deciding what things are going to be tariffed and what things are not going to be tariffed. This whole situation has been a little bit tricky to navigate for lots and lots of reasons. And one of the things is that theoretically, there should be a way for products that are CUSMA compliant, which is like Canada, US, Mexico agreement. There was an agreement in place that some things should be able to go through these borders with no tariffs. Um, these CUSMA compliant products should be able to go through into the US without any extra charges. Um, the the issue is that I think Canada Post, our postal service, was just kind of not really following what would be considered CUSMA compliant, and so they were going to take tariffs, like pre take tariffs on all of the products going across the border. So in any case, we have been trying to find a way to ship our products to all the American customers that we have, in a way where people can receive them either by knowing ahead of time how much any extra tariffs might be, and or B, trying to get things across the border that are CUSMA compliant products that should not be tariffed in the first place, to make sure that they go across without those tariffs. So many of our yarns are spun in Canada and should qualify under this CUSMA compliant rule. And so we are doing our best. Teresa's working very hard behind the scenes. Our team's working very, very hard behind the scenes to update a lot of the information in all of our databases, to work with our shipping providers. We're looking at alternate shipping providers. We're doing all sorts of things sort of behind the scenes to make sure that the products that we are making can make it into the US, where you know what the charge is going to be. You either know what the tariff is going to be ahead of time, or that you are seeing that hopefully these products won't be tariffed at all. So we are definitely working on that. The thing is that all of this information is changing all the time, and we are getting new information all the time as well. We have been doing some tests where we sent a bunch of test packages into the US to see what the process was going to be like and what the outcome was at the end of the day. So we're doing a lot of that kind of testing, and we are just hearing back about those tests like right now. So I'm not able to tell you exactly, yes, it's going to happen, or no, it's not going to happen, or anything like that. So we are keeping a page on the shop site, and we're keeping this updated so that way you will know what is happening. So if you go to our shop, this is shop.sweetgeorgiayarns.com. We created a page. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, we created a section on the FAQ, the FAQ. And on the FAQ at the bottom, there is a bit of information about the whole tariff situation and what could possibly have tariffs applied and what should be tariff free. That is the goal. But yes, we are working on this, and this section will continue to be updated all of the time. So we're going to try to keep this page very, very current with all of the current information, so that way you can see what is happening with the shipping situation. But at the end of the day, I hope that you guys know that what we're trying to do behind the scenes is we're trying to make sure that all of this stuff can continue, so that we can continue to get yarns to you, as we always have. And so that's something that we are working on behind the scenes. But if you have any questions about it specifically, you can feel free to email me, and then we can have our team sort of answer you with all of those details. But yeah, it has been a kind of a challenging time. You'll see lots and lots of information about all of this. But yeah, we are doing our best to work with all of these shipping providers to make sure that we can still get the yarns to you without any issues. That's the goal. So when you are shopping on the site, you might see some of the products will identify which ones might be tariffed, and then which ones should theoretically be free of tariffs. So we're going to keep working on that behind the scenes, but just wanted to let you know that we are working on all of that. Yes. I know it's not everybody's favorite topic, but that is something that we wanted to mention, and we didn't want to let it go and not say anything about that. So that is that. Now, some of the other things that we have that are happier things that I would love to be able to share and talk to you about are that right now, until the end of September, we are doing our back to school sale for the School of SweetGeorgia. So Like, we started the School of Sweet Georgia back in 2017. It was the goal was basically to be able to get fiber arts education to everyone anywhere, no matter where you are. And it was that I could not travel to teach. And so then if I couldn't travel and maybe you couldn't travel, that we could still somehow find a way to get information to you so that you could learn and get access to some of these amazing skills and techniques and experiences. And so over these years, since 2017, crazy, so long. Since 2017, we have been building courses for everything from, like I said before, from fiber all the way to fabric. So everything from working with raw fleece, washing the fleece, to prepping the fleece by either carding or blending or combing or whatever it is you want to do with the fleece. And then you can learn to dye. You can learn to dye with fiber reactor dyes, natural dyes, acid dyes. You can learn to spin that yarn. Um, Spin it into something that is textured, spin it into something that's smooth, spin it something that is intentional for a specific reason. Then with all of that yarn, you can either knit with it, crochet with it, weave with it, do tapestry with it, do punch needle with it, felt with it. Like, there's so many things that we can do. And so we were trying to show all of these different aspects of the fiber arts, all of the different things that you could do with fiber, all the things you could do with yarn. You don't have to do the whole spectrum. You can just pick it up from one section. You can pick it up from just the dyeing section, or you wait for somebody else to dye it, you pick it up from just the spinning section, whatever you want to do. But in any case, we have all of these courses that are available. We've been building this online school for many, many years now, and we would love to have you join as part of it. So, right now, because it's our 20th anniversary, we are offering 20% off all the monthly and the annual all access memberships to the school. So you can use that code. It says Back to School 2025, and you can sign up for a sort of your membership there. Now, I've mentioned this before as well. We have 120 different courses at the school. And for some people, maybe if you're, limited on time, maybe you're thinking, oh, there's no way that I could participate or consume or watch or learn 120 different courses. And so maybe you don't necessarily need to. Maybe you want to focus on one or two things specifically. So that's why we made these different categories as well. So we made memberships that are just for people who want to learn how to spin. So we just put all the spinning courses into one separate membership. And then we have another weaving only membership. So if you only want to take the weaving classes, so that includes also rigid heddle classes, multi-shaft weaving classes, so like floor loom, table loom classes, and also the tapestry weaving classes are all in the weaving membership. And then we have the third one, which is the knitting and crochet membership. And so that includes all of the knitting classes, all of this like, stranded color work. We have lace classes, we have cable classes, we have like learn to knit from scratch. And then we also have all of the crochet classes, like from the very beginning, learning how to crochet from the very beginning, all the way to crocheting lace, crocheting shapes, crocheting amigurumi. And now we have machine knitting classes that we are also incorporating into that particular membership. So all of the CSM class that's coming, all of the flatbed knitting machine classes are all going to be in that knitting membership. So we have a lot of different options for you if you wanted to join the school. You could join for the all access and get everything, or you could join for just one of these craft sort of categories. And with all of these memberships, you get access to the Sweet Georgia community, which is where we are sharing all of the things that we have been making. So yeah, if you've been thinking about joining, or if you would like to rejoin, this is available to you right now. And really, really excited to see this whole thing grow and develop. We're constantly adding more classes. And right now, I was talking to Greta yesterday. We're planning courses into 2026 and 2027 right now. So there's lots on its way. So 2027, that would be 10 years of the School of Sweet Georgia, which seems just crazy. I don't know where time is going. It's just going so fast. But speaking of time going fast, what is coming soon is that my circular sock knitting machine class is going to come out in October, for October. I'm going to show you a couple samples from that. And also, looking ahead to 2026, we have spinning cotton with Rachel Smith from Woolen Spinning. She's going to come and teach that class. We have a number of machine knitting classes coming, and we have a waffle weave class that's coming as well. So excited for all that. If you want to ever see what we are working on, there is the roadmap, schoolofsweetgeorgia.com/roadmap, and that is coming. Now, very quickly, I want to show you. Oh, my tray of socks. So I am very, very proud that I managed to crank this entire pile of socks. They're too precious to wear right now. I'm just enjoying this tray of socks. A lot, I will say, Rachel Smith, when she made that class, spin to knit socks, that class really, really inspired me because I saw that she had spun all this yarn. She had knit all these socks by hand. She had just like a pile of socks in a row, and they were so, so inspiring to me. And I want to do that. But I know that I cannot hand knit that many socks that fast. It takes me like, I don't know, 3 months to knit a pair of socks. So making all of these socks with the circular sock knitting machine has been really just such a joy and so satisfying to me. So I will show you that in the circular sock machine class that we are teaching that's coming out in October, I sort of show from beginning to end how to knit socks, do the how to do the cuff, how to do the hung hem leg. This is basically the anatomy of a sock that we make on the circular sock knitting machine. I show how to do the heels. So I know lots of people who are, working with a circular sock knitting machine, they're cranking a tube, and then at the end of the day, they might finish the heels and the hems by hand. Maybe they do the toes as an afterthought. No, they do a heel as an afterthought heel. So you can do lots and lots of things if you crank the tubes. But with this course, what I'm trying to teach is learning how to use your machine, get really, really familiar with your machine, learn how to make a gauge swatch, learn how to measure your gauge. And then from your gauge, learn how to do calculations so that you can figure out exactly what you need to crank your leg, how much you need to crank for your foot in order to make socks that fit somebody. And I teach this entire, how to do the short row heel so that you do all your shaping on the machine and not by hand. Just, yeah, use the machine for what it was made for. And these machines, I go through it in the class because I'm so fascinated by all of it. These machines have been around for over 100 years. You can still get some of these vintage antique machines on marketplaces and things like that. And just reading about where they came from, how they worked, sort of the culture around them, the kind of business opportunities that were around them for folks in like the early 1900s is just so fascinating. So I talk about that in the course as well. But these are some of the socks that we made. These are the simple stockinette socks that we made. Um, and then we made a variation where we made mock rib socks. So these mock rib socks came out of that as well. And we made some striped socks here. And then recently, this past week, I have been trying to work on my yarn joining technique. So, like the changing colors, and I teach 3 different kinds of techniques for changing colors. One of them is a faux Russian join. The second one is kind of like a single needle join. And the third one is a jogless join. So, doing a jogless join on the circular sock knitting machine. So, I've been practicing that and making striped socks. So, I have to finish these socks, but these socks are going to go into my skills level 1 submission that I'm preparing right now. And so, yes, I have to make some striped socks for that. I have to make some stockinette socks, a mock rib sock, some other things. Yeah, but that's all coming out. And so I'm hoping to share that jogless join with you guys soon as well, because I think that that is the best technique ever. Yeah. So many socks. I have to start actually wearing some of these socks because yeah, I think they're so pretty, but I think that yeah, it's time to start wearing them. Cuz right now I've been borrowing my daughter's socks. Ah, so that is basically it for today. I feel like that was a very that was a lot to talk about today. But thank you guys so much for spending time with us today. You can find us there. That's our studio in Vancouver. You can find us online at all of those different websites. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on anything that we are announcing, all of the news that we have, you can get through our email newsletter. So you can sign up for that at sweetgeorgiayarns.com/newsletter. Bridget does an amazing job of sort of collecting together all of this information so that way she can prepare this for you so that everybody knows what's going on. So all the news that we have about upcoming make-alongs, this October that's going to come, any sales that we have coming up, the Winterful Weave-along that's going to come up in November, all of these things, any shipping updates, news about that, all of that stuff is going to be in the newsletter. So I do encourage you guys to sign up for that if you have not already. So thank you so much for being here today. Very excited that everybody was here today. Thank you so much. And yeah, we're looking forward to spending a little bit more time here on YouTube in the coming weeks and months. Now that my course is done, I'm excited to share more with you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next one next month. Thank you.